Hey everyone! Today I am making a card for the Inkspirational Challenge number 360, and the prompt for this challenge is XOXO. So obviously some sort of love card or Valentine's card, being that it is getting close to Valentine's Day. So I have pulled out my Echoes of Time Irresistible Rub-On Transfers from 49 and Market. And I was just looking through the 3 sheets. I've used a little bit of them, but I wanted to use some of the florals. They had some really pretty bunches of roses. So I cut out one of the large roses and a small one because I wasn't quite sure which one I wanted to use on the card, but I decided the bigger one was better. So I'm just giving a good rub over this transfer to adhere it to the card and peeling it off as I've got it on there. And that worked well. And then I am going to go over it with some ink. So I have chosen 2 different inks. I've got Stampin' Up! Rich Razzleberry, which is this first one I'm using. It actually kind of stained the white rub-on part that's supposed to be irresistible. It does wipe off somewhat, but not as much as some other inks. Then I've gone in with a Close to My Heart Hollyhock ink for the lighter one, and then back to that darker one again, and just laying the color on, kind of going over all of the edges and just inking that up. Now I hate to waste this much ink, so I'm bringing out my water, and I have a watercolor panel that I had previously added some Cocktail Party Distress Mica Stain and also some brushed pewter mica spray. And just inking that up with that leftover ink, gave it a little bit of a dry, added some more, and drying it again, and I actually am making 2 cards. Now I'm coming in with some paper towel and just rubbing over those irresistibles to get the ink off of them. And I've grabbed out 2 Close to My Heart stamp sets that have X's and O's on them. So I've chosen the more scripty one for this card, and I'm just layering them on there with that darker ink. And then I cut out a piece of cheesecloth and I'm pressing that into that darkest ink and staining it. And then I didn't like it on that card, so I brought in the other panel and I thought that could work. So I brought out the other XO stamp that I have and I'm stamping it all over this panel. I die cut out a heart from the Prism Studios Nested Hearts dies, and I'm going to ink that up with the lighter of the 2 inks. And then with the darker ink, I'm going to stamp the sentiment that says, "I love, love, love you" onto this heart. Makes me think of Pride and Prejudice. Now I wanted to make the first card an anniversary card, so I'm pulling out some happy anniversary stamps and stamping them onto some scrap white cardstock with that darker ink. My plan is to cut them out and lay them on the card. I did heat set them with clear embossing powder. I decided I wanted to distress the edges of this watercolor cardstock panel, so I'm just using my scissors to rough up all of the edges and give it a little bit more of a rustic look. And then I am adding some of that darker pink ink onto those roughed up distressed edges. Next, I am going to cut out that happy anniversary sentiment. And I spent a fair amount of time getting the sizing all right. I don't end up using these because I did not like how they looked in the end. I think they were just too chunky and they covered up too much of the card front. See, I just didn't like them. I tried blending the lighter pink ink on there to see if that would help them blend in more and look better, but I still was not happy with it. You'll see the results here in a moment. Yeah, I decided I didn't like that. So I'm going to go back and work on the other card for a moment and think about that one. I decided to bring in the Distress Mica Spray in the brushed pewter and just splatter a little bit of it on that panel. I also brought in a wooden heart from my stash that you can see on the bottom right corner there that I had previously heat embossed with metallic embossing powder. So I'm going to add that, and then I'm also adding some water droplet gems. And this is where I decided to stamp the happy anniversary on the inside of the card instead. So I'm again using that dark pink ink. It's kind of a purpley pink, I guess. And stamping that happy anniversary in there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of the ink on my glass mat, add a bit of water, and splatter a little bit in there as well. And it's time to start assembling. So I'm going to glue this panel onto a card base, glue on the cheesecloth, and I used some foam tape to pop the heart up a little bit. I did add a little bit of Barely Art glue onto the foam tape as well. Now time to glue this panel down onto its card base, and then I will glue down that wooden heart and glue down the water droplet gems once I get them placed where I want them to go, which takes me a bit as usual. And I decided to add some water droplet gems onto this card as well. Just getting its placement figured out and then gluing those down. And here are the two finished cards. So I've got this one that doesn't have a sentiment on the inside. It just has some X's and O's and some flowers and a heart. And then inside says Happy Anniversary and carried a little bit of that ink splatter on there. And then the second one has the little Mr. Darcy, I love, love, love you on there and no sentiment inside. I'll just show a closer up view of both of these cards, and just a reminder, this is for the Inkspirational Challenge number 360, with the prompt being XOXO. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful, peaceful day.